Hello, hello, welcome back to Papo Fluente podcast. One more conversation in English, guys. We keep rolling. I promise you, I will drop like a new episode every week. So today, another very special guest is joining me, guys. So today, I have teacher Lucas Borges with me. How are you, man?
I'm good, and you? How's it going your week so far?
Oh man, it's doing good. Like as they say it here in Canada, living the dream, right? So I'm living the dream, right?
Oh, you're living in Canada. I didn't know
Yeah,
about that.
yeah, I am, and we can talk about it. But the idea here is to get to know more about you. So
All
we are
right.
talking about the art you have behind you, the LB. So that obviously stands for Lucas Borges, right? Which is your
It
name.
does, it does.
All right. So if you want to talk a little bit about yourself, just an introduction to the audience, like who are you,
Okay.
where you're from, what's the story, why you're here. So go ahead.
Okay, thank you for the space to talk a little bit about myself, about my life. So, hello
Okay.
people. How are you? My name is Lucas Borges. I I'm an English teacher. I don't know if all your guests are English teachers, but
Not all of
um
them,
not all of them, right?
but my
But I
favorite
am.
ones. My favorite ones are.
Yeah, okay. So I'm an English teacher. I'm also a translator. Um, Being an English teacher was not my first idea. Like when I started studying, getting an undergraduation, but I think this profession chose me. I didn't choose it. And about the LB that you asked me, yes, you're correct. It stands for my initials. It's Lucas Borges. And my father gave it to me. My father does a lot of things. My father was an English teacher. My father is an architect and he's a plastic artist. So he does a lot of things. He paints, he makes some um, kind of art in a different way. And he has like this kind of initials on his office, RB Ronaldo Borges.
Okay.
And I always like it. And I said, "Oh, Dad, when I open my own English course, my studio, I would like one like the one you have." And he made it to me. He gave it to me as a present. It was a very special gift. And I use it. I have been using it for like 6 years.
Wow, that's great, man. And you didn't tell us where you're from.
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem.
I'm not used to participate on podcasts,
It's all good,
so
man.
I had a podcast on the pandemic. Similar
Oh,
what you do. I had guests like students, other English teachers, people that were fluent in English. So
okay.
I am used to be the host, not the guest.
Oh, nice.
So
And
sorry about that.
is not a problem. So is this podcast is still available? Like, can people go and
There
check
are
it
some
out?
episodes on my feed on
Okay.
Instagram. You can search it there.
What's the
I can
name?
send you the link. It didn't have a name. It was just it was not exactly a podcast, but
Okay.
when the pandemic broke out, there
Yeah.
were a lot of people doing lives.
Yeah.
Like artists performing and comedians doing stand-up shows. And I decided to invite some people and practice English during
Okay.
free conversations, and people use it to watch it. But after some time, people started getting back to their normal lives, and
Yeah.
I started losing a little bit of interest in this format of lives on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram. So, but you can watch some episodes. I can send you the link after.
All right. Sounds good. So it's on your Instagram page
Yeah.
at Lucas Borges English, right?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, guys.
I don't
So
know if you can put on some captions, but if you want to
yeah.
put the link of my Instagram after for the ones who want to follow me
Yeah,
later.
for sure. So I will put the link to Lucas Borges, teacher Lucas Borges, on the description of the episode, guys. Okay. So
Okay.
if you're listening on Spotify or even watching on YouTube, go check the description. His link will be there at Lucas Borges English on Instagram. All right. Where you from, my man?
Okay, so I'm from Três Rios. It's a small city in the state of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil.
Mm, okay.
Um, I work from home, so I don't get out of my city very much.
Okay.
And I have been living here since I was born. I'm now 30 years old. So
Okay.
I've been living here for 30 years. And to be
Nice.
honest, I really like my city. I was able to build a house here. I married a beautiful woman that it's also from my city.
Good.
At this moment, I don't have any reasons to move to another place, but I would like to visit new cities and new countries very
Nice.
soon.
Good. That's good, man. That sounds like a good plan. But the reason I asked where you're from, because this the idea of the podcast is basically having Brazilians
Right, right.
speaking English, so other Brazilians who are on this journey to become fluent, they can get inspired, they can get motivated. So that's why I asked. I always ask, so I make sure my guests they say, "Oh, I'm from Brazil. You know, I am like you," so people can make this connection. Right?
And a
Good.
curiosity, I
Yeah.
think it's totally possible to be fluent living in Brazil.
Oh yeah.
You didn't ask me, but I've never left Brazil.
Okay.
So I've never gone to another country. I've never lived abroad. So it's totally possible for the ones who say, "Oh, I don't have money to invest in a interchange course," or "The dollar is too expensive. I can't get out of my country to practice my English." So you don't need to. There are
Yeah.
many possibilities for you to learn English to become fluent inside Brazil.
Here you go. Man, you just read my mind because what happens here, I usually play a game with my guests. I call it BS or success. What
Hmm.
I do, I just throw out some sentences or
I'm
some
sorry,
I
BS.
BS, like bullshit,
Oh, okay, okay,
all right, or success.
okay, okay.
So basically, it's like a true or false. So
All right.
I'm gonna say something, and you have to say, in your opinion, if that's a BS or if that's a success, and you can elaborate on that. You can tell me
Okay.
why. Do you want to play
Perfect.
that?
All right, let's go.
Good. So one of my questions, and that's why I said you read my mind. One what? Oh my goodness! One of my questions was like, if you don't go abroad, like you can't learn English if you don't live in an English speaking country. And you just said, right? So is that a BS or success?
Uh, it's a BS. Of course, you can learn English living inside the country uh, of your mother language. You don't need to live abroad. You don't need to do an expensive interchange course. But there are some things that you have to do because since you don't live the English on your day by day. If you go to the grocery store, people are talking in Portuguese. You go to the supermarket, people are talking in Portuguese. You have to find ways to have an English immersion, and it's not always easy for everyone to do
Hmm.
that, to have this discipline.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So would you say that consuming content in English, like every day, through podcasts, through movies, series, songs, whatever, books, consuming content in English will improve your communication skills overall? Is that a BS or success?
It's a success, of course. I think it's the only way for the ones who don't live abroad to learn English, besides doing English courses and etc., which I think is also very important. But some people believe that going to the English class once a week, twice a week, it's gonna be a miracle and they're gonna learn English. But I don't agree with that. I think you should follow people on Instagram that speak English. I think you should read the news in English once a week. I think you should listen to music, watch movies, watch series, play video games, do whatever you like, but do it in English because there's no other option to get an immersion if you live in Brazil other than that.
Yeah, I love that, man. And as you said, it's a immersion, right? So you have to immerse yourself in a language. You have to expose yourself to the language, right?
Yes.
Good. So I don't know if you have ever seen those advertisings on social media saying like, if you take this course or if you follow this method, you can become fluent in 3 months. Do you think that's a BS or success?
BS for sure.
Why?
Um, I would go further. I would say that 12 months is still BS, you know? Um, I think you can reach a really good level of an English within a year, within 6 months if you dedicate yourself to it. But becoming fluent, I think it's much more than that, you know? Um, People study the language the whole life to be able to feel comfortable speaking it fluently. I don't think that you're gonna do it in 3 months, 6 months, but I think it's possible to get a really good level of English within a period of 1 year.
All right, good. So that's why teachers are my favorite because they always tell the truth, right? So and it's not only telling the truth, it's like explaining why the rationale behind that, right?
Yeah, because
Good.
try to follow my thoughts. Let's imagine a person who was born in a native English speaking country, for example, Canada, United States, whatever. Um, a baby maybe starts speaking around 1 year old. How long does it take a baby that lives English like 24 hours a day? They go to school and only hear the teachers and their uh, colleagues speaking English. It takes a while
Oh
for the
yeah.
kid to become fluent.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine for a person who does not speak English as a native language. So the logic the logical thing is it doesn't match. So if you are a Brazilian, you speak Portuguese, it's gonna take a while for you to learn English. And I think the mistake for most people is trying to rush this
Mm-hmm.
process and they give up on the middle of it. So I think you should be patient. Being in an intermediate level, in a high level, it's already good. You don't need to be fluent to
Mm-hmm.
have a good career, to have good experiences traveling. But if you want to be fluent, I think you gotta be patient, not
Yeah,
3 months.
I agree. I agree. Perfect. All right. And talking about being a Brazilian, right? Like learning English as a second language. Would you
Right.
say like translating things are bad for you as an English learner? Is that a BS or success?
I think it's a BS because there's no problem about translating, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the age you start learning. You know, I'm not gonna mention the name, but I've worked at a private English course years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a rule inside of the English course that you could not speak Portuguese during the classes.
I've been there.
In my opinion, it was an absurd,
Yeah, yeah.
because um, how can you uh, explain to Dona Teresa,
Yeah.
53 years old, that
Yeah.
her dream is to learn English,
Yeah.
and she comes to her first English class? She cannot speak Portuguese, and you, the teacher, you cannot speak Portuguese to her.
Yeah.
How the hell I'm gonna teach something to this woman?
Yeah.
She needs some um,
Reference.
right reference to her mother language.
Mm-hmm.
That's why in my English course, we can maybe talk a little bit that
Yeah.
more later. Uh,
Sure.
I think that for the people who are in the beginning, I need to explain a little bit of the content in Portuguese first, and so they start getting comfortable with the language. And outside of the class, they can search for things to improve their English. They can follow uh, like a routine, but in the class, they need to have a reference in Portuguese.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't
Make
think
that.
translating is bad.
Yeah, I don't think so too. Yeah, like people sometimes they say you gotta think in English. You you have to switch the flip and like start thinking in English, and that's not even a possibility, right? Like it's not. It's I don't know, man. It's just piece. pisses me off when I see things like that. But anyways,
Mm-hmm.
good.
But I have
Uh,
a, if you allow me, I have an addition. Uh,
mhm.
like you should not translate it, but you can't also translate everything, like literally, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
So, um, why in Portuguese we say eu tenho 30 anos de idade, and in English you cannot say I have. So if you try to explain that I have, uh, eu tenho, it does not translate to I have it, but I am.
Mm-hmm.
Explaining in this way makes life more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you just try to explain in another way. Oh, in English, it's not like eu tenho, it's like eu estou.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes I tell my students, it is because it is. It's
Yeah.
another language. They don't even
Mm-hmm.
know that Portuguese exists, so you
Yeah.
cannot compare to your language all the time. It's their language, it's their rules. So don't try to translate everything.
Yeah.
Translate some things to help you.
Exactly. Good. I love that. All right. So memorizing a certain amount of words in English will make you fluent. So if you memorize, if you basically collect all the vocabulary that you can, you will be fluent for sure. Is that a BS or success?
It's a success in parts because it can help you in the process,
Yep.
because there are indeed some words that are truly necessary for you as a student to learn, like the main verbs, the main prepositions, but not just memorizing them. You have to know how to use them in a sentence. That's why I think when people say that grammar is not important, I think that's bullshit, because
Mm-hmm.
memorizing helps, but you have to learn how to use them in a certain way. But that's not uh, that's not taking be fluent for granted. It's gonna
Mm-hmm.
help you, but you're not gonna be fluent just because of that.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so English learners must sound like English native speakers. Is that a BS or success?
I am starting to get a little bit embarrassed because I'm saying BS to everything.
It's so good, man. It's so good.
But I do think it's a BS, because you're not a native speaker and you're never gonna be. So my English probably doesn't sound like a person who was born in the United States, a person who was born in Canada. Um, Maybe if I live during a lot of years in that place, I can lose a little bit of my accent, but I don't need. I can have my own accent. Accent and pronunciation mistakes, I think they are two different things.
Hmm.
So you can be fluent in English having an accent, not speaking like a native person.
Great, good. All right, my last one. Following Lucas Borges English on Instagram, is that a BS or success?
Totally
Here
success.
you
So,
go.
guys, let's go there. Follow me, please.
Here we go, man. Nice. Yeah, man, not all of them were BS, okay? So we got
Yeah,
some
some of them were success.
successes. Yeah, good. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your story in terms of when it comes to English. When did you start learning English? Was that as a child, like
Hmm.
growing up? How was the process of learning English in Brazil?
Well, as I told you before, my father used to be an English teacher, but lots of years ago, like 40 years ago, here in my city, he had, and he was the owner of a franchise of an English course called IASG. I don't know
Hmm.
if you know the name,
Yep,
but
I
in the
know.
past it was really famous. I don't know
Hmm.
if it still exists, but he had a lot of students. He had a really big course. He loved, but he fell in love with another profession, which was the architecture, and he sold his English course, and he gave up this career to dedicate himself to the other career. When I was born, my father didn't like talk to me in English. I grew up until I was 6 years old. only speaking Portuguese, although my father was fluent in English.
Hmm.
But when I started having troubles in English at school, I remember that when I changed my school to a more difficult one, I got a like 0 on an English exam. And my father started getting worried about that.
Hmm.
Maybe it's getting too late for this kid to learn something in English. So he gave a video game to me. Like in the past, games were either in English or Japanese. Nowadays, people can play video games in Portuguese. There are local translations. But in the past, this was not possible. And this made me want to learn English to know what the texts were saying, what the characters were saying. But I still had difficulties. My father tried to help me. He tried to teach me the pronunciation of the words, to play with me, to translate. But my father didn't want to be my teacher because he didn't have the time. So he said, "Oh, I'm going to put you in an English course." So he signed me up at an English course when I was around 9 years old. But meanwhile, I was still playing video games, listening to music. I am really into rock music. My uncle introduced me to that. So I was doing already things related to English. And in addition to the English course, my vocabulary started expanding. I was really getting more and more interested to the English language. And that's how I started learning. And when I was around 15 years old, I finished my English course, and that's when I started my English teacher career because I was invited to do some courses and maybe get specialized in this area. In my English course, there was this tradition like that they prepared the students to become English teachers of their course in the future. And the idea of becoming an English teacher was getting myself interested.
Good. So that would be my next question, but you just basically introduced that. So you started teaching like right after you finish your English course as an a student. So then you started right away, like when you were 15, 16?
Oh, when I was 15, I finished my like in my English course that I studied, there was like the basic, intermediate, and advanced level, and I finished the advanced level when I was 15.
Mm-hmm.
But when I showed my interest to become an English teacher, the principal of the course said, "I think you're not ready yet. I think you should do the." There was a mastering English course, which was beyond the advanced level, and she
Mm-hmm.
said, "You're gonna study for 2 more years until you are around 16, 17, and then I think you're gonna be ready to go to this course in the university." There was a university of this course. I can't tell you the name, but there was University of. No. Can I say the name or?
Yeah, sure, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it was CCAA, right?
Okay.
There was the University of CCAA,
Oh, I
and she
didn't know
said,
that.
"Yeah, there is. They train the good students to become teachers at CCAA, right?"
Nice.
And when I finished, when I was 17 years old, I didn't want to be an English teacher as a profession because I didn't think it was possible to earn good amount of money with that.
Okay.
So my dream was to enter in the university, but I was a little bit lost, and I decided to enter in the course of tourism.
Okay.
And but at the same time that I entered in this course, I was preparing myself to become an English teacher as a part-time job to make an
Okay.
extra money, you know?
Right.
So I did this course. I had a success. I I started teaching for basic levels, and within the years, intermediate levels, advanced levels, until I went to other courses. I used it to teach in the university for a while when I was a student there. I had a scholarship where I had the opportunity to receive money and teach for other students at the university, but we
Nice.
can get to that later.
Mm-hmm.
And after some years, I decided to open my English course because I was not happy in the area that I chose, which was tourism.
Okay.
I didn't find myself there, and
Mm-hmm.
I discovered that it was possible to earn money as an English teacher, and I became a full-time teacher, private teacher.
Nice. Just a quick funny story about the tourism course. I took a tourism course as well, like, but as a technical. You know those high schools that you have the
Yeah.
possibility of
Mhm.
studying. Like in the morning you study like the regular high school, and in the afternoon you choose like a course. So
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
chose tourism, but I thought I would be like a tourist, so I quit the course like
Well,
in 2 months.
that's kind of the I was picturing myself working like that. My
Yeah.
father always said, "Oh, you are very good in English. You have to do something with your English." And I
Uh-huh.
said, "Okay, I'm gonna do tourism. I'm gonna be rich, traveling around the world,
Yeah.
and that's gonna be it." So I discovered that it's not
No.
like that the
No,
profession
man.
works.
Not at all. But anyways, let's talk about the idea of opening your own course, like your own English course. So what did motivate you to open up your own business as an English teacher? So why
Money.
money? All right. So elaborate more on that.
Yeah, sure. Um, have you ever worked at private English courses?
Yeah, I did.
Right. So in Brazil,
In Brazil.
okay, so you know that they don't pay really well, you know?
No, they don't. They don't.
So my the payment that I was receiving was not sufficient to do the things I wanted. I would like my dream was always to have my own house, to have my own car, my own things. And
Mm-hmm.
the money that I was receiving it was not being sufficient. I worked at CCA for 5 years, and I left there because I was realizing that I would not grow up professionally inside there. I
Mm-hmm.
like reached my top level there, and I was not being valorized the way I would like because the environment there was not so good at this moment of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And but I quit peacefully, you know. I just came to the principal, we had a conversation, I said I was not happy, and she said, okay, so let's part ways. And
Yeah.
I had an invitation to teach at another English course, which was Wizard. I taught there for 6 months, and as a substitute teacher, but the methodology there was I didn't adapt. They use a kind of pen
Okay.
to I don't know if you already
Yeah.
worked at Wizard,
No,
and
but I remember that.
they use a pen which the class is the student using the pen on the book and listening to the audios, and the teacher is just there standing still waiting for the student to ask doubts. uh, I it didn't make really sense for me. I was not happy being a teacher there.
Yeah.
So another English course invited me. I taught there for some time. I had already left the university, so I taught at the university for 3 years. I had a scholarship there. I was not into the letras course. I
Mm-hmm.
was doing tourism, but I used it to teach English there because there was a program at the university called Projeto Universalização that
Okay.
students from undergraduation courses were orientated by mentors, and they were the ones who teach the classes. So during
Okay.
uh, 3 years, I used it to teach two other graduation courses. There were specific classes where they were all mixed up together. So I used to teach for the medicine course, for the architecture course, everybody in the same room. It was a really great experience because I had classes with more than 30, 40 students. It was my experience with big classes because in CCAA Wizard the classes were smaller, like
Yeah.
10 students at the maximum. But in 2016, I decided that I had to do something with the English that I know. I can't throw it away. I need to earn money with that.
Mhm.
I have always been a translator, and I use it to do some freelance jobs and etc. But the money was not being sufficient, so I had an idea. Oh, I'm gonna make an English course and I'm gonna sell it on the internet, like recorded videos, a recorded book. I'm gonna write the text, I'm gonna write the stories, and I'm gonna sell it on Hotmart. I don't know. And I
Mhm.
started doing that. People started getting interest. But creating content is something very hard. And people started questioning why I was taking so long to make a module of the course, because I was releasing each module like each 2 weeks, and people started getting a little bit impatient.
Mhm.
But they really liked my method. They really liked the material that I was creating. And some students came to me and say, "Hey, don't you want to give me like a private class?" And I said, "Oh, I've never done that, but maybe we can try."
Mhm.
And I started writing my own material. I started creating my methodology, reuniting the things that I've learned that they worked at the English courses that I participated. And people started liking my methodology. People starting liking my material, the way I work, the way I treat them, because this is something that it's very important. Sometimes they look for professionals that treat them well when
Mhm.
you look for a private kind of service. And I started with 2 students, and in the next year I had 20 students, and in the next year I had 40 students. The course started growing, and here I am and still doing it. I'm very happy with the course I have right now, with the name I've built in my city, and that's it. That's my story with English.
Here we go. And is that like a in-person course? Is that an online course? Is like hybrid? People can either go in person or watch the
Hmm.
classes online. How does it work?
Well, when I first started in 2016, it was presential.
Mhm.
I my the I used it to live with my parents, and there was a vacant room in the house, so I they helped me reform it. My parents, they supported me when I said that I would like to be to have this English course,
Mhm.
and so they helped me restore it and like make it possible to receive people in my house to give English classes to them. And from 2016 to 2020, the English course was presential, but the ones who didn't have time to go there or lived far away could have English classes. I used to teach on Google Meet, on Skype, but most of my students, they were presential. It was good, this contact with people. I've made a lot of friends, and I had a lot of experiences with receiving people in my house, developing my because I'm very shy, so it was
Mhm.
good for me to not being shy anymore, to be in contact with people daily in my house and speaking directly to them. But the pandemic broke out in the beginning of 2020, and I was obligated to start teaching only on the internet. So I said, people, you're gonna have to help me. We're gonna have to adapt ourselves to Skype meetings, Google Meet meetings, and for my surprise, they took it really well, you know? I thought they would have a really big resistance to it. But nowadays, after the pandemic is over, people still do the online classes. Nowadays I only work online. I don't receive people in my office anymore. And I'm really happy with it because it's better. People don't get late to the classes. People don't have to spend money in gasoline with the
Mhm.
card to come to the English course. I think it was good for everyone to be 100% online.
Yeah, it's good. I like this. This way of teaching is very convenient, and as you said, like you can reduce your expenses, you can take classes in the comfort of your home, you can even
Mm-hmm.
like if you are traveling or if you are like I've taught people like during their lunch break in their car,
Yeah,
for
me too.
example. So
Mm-hmm.
it's all good and it works, right? And I just found it really brilliant that you created your own method and everything. So this is like amazing. And are you still accepting students, like people listening to this content, they can reach out to you for classes?
Yeah, sure.
Good.
For this month, for example, I don't have I can't accept my any more students because all my schedule is full. But
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning of each month, I always open 2 or 3 opportunities for people to study with me, and they can reach out to me with the contacts that you're gonna put on the
Mm-hmm.
description. I can put my cell phone too and
Mm-hmm.
my Instagram contact. They can send a direct message to me, and yes, I can show them how my material works, how my method works. I think they're gonna like it. Thanks for the
All
opportunity
good.
to disclose my English course a little bit. And but yes, they can contact me. They can uh maybe do a free class if they want. I can, so they can know how it works, and that's it.
Nice. All right, guys. So if you're looking for an English teacher with his own methodology, look no further. Okay. So drop a message. His Instagram will be on our description, maybe WhatsApp too, so I can get it later and make sure people can reach out to you. Okay.
Sure, sure.
All right. Uh, Lucas, what would be your best tips for people who are learning English, like they're struggling? Because uh, I got to know you on Threads, right? So I made a
Yeah,
post on
that's right.
Threads, so then we connected. But what I've been seeing there is a lot of people complaining about how difficult it is to learn English. People are really struggling. Like Brazilian people are struggling to learn English. Some of them are already giving up. So what are the tips that you can give to those people that are struggling with learning English?
Okay. I think the first tip that I can give to them is just do it. The first one, because maybe you're not in necessity of learning English right now, but you're gonna need it one day. Sooner or later, uh, an opportunity will knock on your door, and you're gonna need the English to help you. And if you have the English by your side, you're gonna be one step ahead. Like most part of the students that I have nowadays are students that lost a job opportunity, lost international job opportunity, like earning 10 times more sometimes. So if does not incentivize you, if money, if a good career does not incentivize you, what else will? And besides that, that which is a professional incentivation, I think tips about learning English are, of course, if you have the money to invest, doing a good English course is good. People sometimes think that English courses might be expensive, but not all of them are. And even though if it's expensive, try not to think about that as a spending or wasting your money. It's an investment. But
Hmm.
it's not the only thing that you're gonna need to learn English. You have to consume content in English, as we talked before. If you don't consume content, if you don't watch TV, if you don't watch series, watch movies, listen to music, read things in English, you're gonna have difficulties. And most of my students, when they struggle, it's because they are not studying outside of the class. They are not consuming English out of the class. A lot of them um, just see English once or twice a week, and I tell them, okay, so it's not sufficient. You need more. And to not frighten them, I would say that 5 minutes a day it's enough.
Hmm.
Like you try to create a routine. Like on Monday, you're gonna listen to a music, to a song. in English, and you're gonna try to find 3 new words, and you're gonna write them down on your notebook. On Tuesday, you're gonna watch an episode of a series that you like, and you're gonna try to get most of the information you can. You can watch with the Portuguese subtitles, there's no problem about that, but the audio must be in English. On Wednesday, for example, read a news in English. Like go to websites like the BBC News, on Twitter, on Threads, I don't know.
Mhm.
Even if it's just the calling, if it's just the title of the news, but try to read it, try to translate, use Google Translator in an intelligent way to help you learn it. So each day of the week, I think you should try to do something in English, even if it's just 5 minutes, like reading the title of some news. I think it's enough. But creating this habit of doing it every day, I think is the key for success in English.
Yeah, man. There you go. Yeah. Consistency is key, right? And you just gave the audience a free how was that? A free study plan, right? So because you said,
Yeah,
oh, on
yeah.
Monday you do that, on Tuesday you
But
do
I do
that.
that with all my students, you know.
Yeah.
I prepare like a specific plan for each of my students. So,
Yeah.
but it depends. If they have more difficult with English, I'm gonna prepare things that require less time for them. If I see that they have uh more interest, or it's easier to them, I can like try to add some more difficult exercises. But people have to do it every day if they want to become fluent. And I think this is not a mystery. It's just a dedication. I think for everything in life, as you said, you need consistency. For example, may I
Hmm.
ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you like do something as a hobby that requires skill, like playing the guitar, practicing some sports? Do you do something like that?
Yeah. I grew up playing soccer, right? So I played soccer my whole life. Yeah.
Okay, so is it possible to get good in a sport like soccer without practicing?
No.
No, you have to be consistent. The more you practice, the more uh you're gonna be good. Yes, in soccer, give the example of the Ballon d'Or, Neymar,
Hmm.
for example. Neymar is a pure talent,
Yeah.
but he was not dedicated. He lived a bohemian life, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Pure talent wasted in parties and what else? And Vinicius Junior, for example, he is not as talented as Neymar, but I think in his case, dedication overcame the talent, you know?
Hmm.
So I think it's possible to be good in anything if you practice, if you insist, if you become good. The problem is, do you have the discipline to do it? Are you strong enough to be consistent? For
Hmm.
me, going to the gym is very difficult
Yeah.
because following a diet and like not skipping any day of the gyms is very hard. I really try, but I know that I could do more, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, we all could, right? So, yeah, but as you said, like consistency is very important, and to reach a higher level in anything that you decide to pursue, like you need to dedicate yourself. There is no way out. There is no
For
way
sure,
out.
for sure.
All right, so we've been talking a lot about English and your teaching experience and everything, but outside of that, like what are the things that you enjoy the most doing? You asked me about hobbies, now I'm asking you, so what do you like to do the most outside of English?
Not soccer because I'm
Not
not
so.
good at it. I really like to watch soccer, but
Okay.
I'm not good practicing it. Um, I'm really into video games. You know,
Nice.
as you can see, I have some video game stuff behind me,
Hmm.
and my first video game was a Nintendo 64 that I told you my father gave to incentivize me to learn English. And
Yeah.
since then, I've never stopped playing. I think it's my favorite hobby, which I don't have so much time nowadays to enjoy because I've been working so much. I miss having this hobby. But I'm trying to develop other hobbies to study about other things. For example, since 2021, I got more dedicated to the gym. So it helps me when I'm stressed to go there and forget about my problems. Um, I love dogs, so I love spending time with my dogs, like going to the park with them and my wife. And I love food too. I love to cook. I love to visit new restaurants and learn new recipes. I would say that these are my favorite three things: spending time with my wife and dogs, playing video games, and enjoying food.
Sounds like a good life, man. You're living the dream. Good.
Not yet, because I can't go to the most expensive restaurants yet, but
Okay.
I'm fighting for it. And video games, I wish I could have more time. My intention is to raise one day my the prices of my class so I can have less students and have more free time to play.
There you go. Yeah, this is also a controversial topic, like how much teachers are charging for classes. We were
Yeah.
talking about threads, so I posted something about, but that was like a clickbait for sure.
Uh-huh.
I posted something about like, is that okay to charge like 100 reais for a month for classes, for English classes? And then I started receiving some DMs, like teachers like giving me a lot of shit, you know. What are you
Really?
talking about? You have no sense. Like it's that's not like man, that was bad. But anyways,
Okay. What, do you have a minimum value that you think a teacher should charge?
man, I don't think about a minimum value right now, but it all depends, right? So it comes with time. So for example, you've been teaching since you're 17, right? So it's almost
Yes.
15 years. So you have a lot of experience. You have so many things to bring to the table, right? So I don't know. You can charge like according to your knowledge, experience, and everything, right? So the other day I was like estimating how much I spent to learn English, and this is like over 100,000 reais
Mm-hmm.
for sure. So when
It's an
I
investment that you need return now.
it is, like so when people are bargaining, like when you talk to uh, potential students and you say, okay, this is how much I charge for classes, and they start bargaining. It's very frustrating, because they are not
I
considering
don't
how.
accept bargains nowadays.
Yeah, I know, but it's just frustrating because they don't consider how much time I dedicated to that and how much money I spent to
But
reach
I
that
think it's a
level, right?
Brazilian culture thing, to bargain for price, for everything, for all the types of service. Like,
Hmm.
the guy is gonna come here to install my air conditioner. Oh, it's 500 reais. Oh, but can you do it for 400?
Yeah.
Or you're gonna, like, buy something. Oh, but if I pay in cash, can you give me, like, 10% discount? I think it's
Hmm.
something cultural.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's a good culture, but I think um it's like the way we've been taught to bargain for prices,
Yeah.
because life in Brazil is so difficult, money is so
Yeah.
difficult to earn, that sometimes we do it so we can have more money to spend in other things. But I
Exactly.
also think that bargain has a limit. You have to respect. You can say, "Oh, this." You never say to a professional like, "Oh, your price is expensive." You
Hmm.
say, "Oh, I can't afford it right now. Maybe I'll have to contact you later, or
Yeah.
maybe I will try to reach a professional that can fit in my pocket." But never say to a professional that his price is expensive. He is the only one that knows how hard it was to have the knowledge he has.
Exactly. And nobody goes to McDonald's, for example, and ask for a discount on their meal, right? So it's the
No,
price. It's
the
the
price
price
it
that
is,
is. You
it
pay
is
what
what
you
it
got,
is.
right? Yeah, it is what it is. Like you see the price right there, you don't say, "Oh, Okay, so I don't feel like paying. I don't know how much is it. A Big Mac in Brazil nowadays. I don't know. I have no idea.
Around 30 reais, the
Really,
combo.
man? Wow. All right.
Yeah,
So
food here is expensive.
oh man. All right. Yeah. So you don't go there and say, okay, I don't feel like paying 30 reais for the meal, right? So can I pay 15? So it doesn't work like that, right? So
No, not at all, not at all.
anyways, Lucas, man, it's been like a great conversation. I had a blast talking to you, to be
Me
honest, man.
too, man. Me
Yeah.
too.
And I just want to know if you have any final messages to the audience, like anything you feel like you should have talked and you didn't have the chance, or anything, any final message, feel free to share it. Now it's your
Okay.
time.
So, guys, if you stayed until now, it's because the conversation was good for you. It's because I could help you in something, maybe with the tips that my friend here gave me the opportunity to say. And thanks for listening to us. Thanks for participating in this podcast. It was a wonderful conversation. I hope to get more in contact with you. And maybe we can talk about life, about other things later.
All right, let's
And
do it.
the message that I have to say to the people who are listening is learn English. It's gonna be good for your life. You're gonna need for your professional career. You're gonna have more opportunities on your personal life. Um, either be with traveling or maybe finding the love of your life in another country. I don't know. English is gonna be necessary in everybody's lives.
All right. So with this powerful message, we end this episode, this conversation in English. Thanks again, Lucas, for being here. And guys,
I I thank you.
yeah, and guys, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, do all of that good stuff. And we see you on the next episode. Bye.
Okay, bye bye. Thanks.